Well, good morning, everyone. Thomas Montgomery here. We get together most weekday mornings at 8 o'clock Central to talk strategies, tips, techniques, share success stories, and support each of you. Most of you are either current grant coordinators slash resellers, or you might be considering becoming one. We have 509 Pacific in the background. That's our 501c3 nonprofit. Crazy easy for us to collaborate, no contract to sign, no money to pay. You become a grant coordinator right here. You fill this out, and we'll get you the packet. You'll be open for business today. But today's topic is real estate financing, and this is important for a few different reasons. I don't know if you monitor Bloomberg or read the Wall Street Journal or just keep up with economic news, but what's happening right now? Let's go ahead and type that. What's happening right now? Interest rates are dropping. So a better time than it has been in quite a while to buy real estate. Now, we're not mortgage loan officers, but what you and I can do through Shelf Corp is get clients as Shelf Corp and then go buy commercial real estate with that Shelf Corp. So it doesn't matter if they want to buy single family properties to fix and flip or buy and hold. They can even get one and live in it, but call it a commercial property, multifamily commercial. We have some really strong commercial lenders that are loaning money, and they're loaning money at better rates than we've seen in quite a while. Also, there are, and what you want to keep in mind about real estate financing is we'll always have to look at the deal. So different types of deals will be set up differently. So there's not just one simple answer of what the financing would look like. But with that being said, we do have the ability to do 100% real estate financing. And that's a big deal, right? Because you'll run into some people say, oh, yeah, I'd love to own some real estate. I'd like to build my wealth with real estate, but they lack the liquidity to do down payments. So we can work around that. So this is, I guess I should put a period there. This is kind of the big picture of why we're having this discussion. And you were probably inundated with news articles yesterday about how interest rates are dropping, which is great for the borrowers, not so good for the banks and the lenders. So with that being said, I wanted to give you an update on our real estate deal and kind of tell you our story just so you understand it. And maybe it's a good case study, maybe not, but just so you know. We want to talk about how we handle clients that's looking for real estate financing, and then we want to make sure you know the benefits to you. So those are our three agenda items. So in our world, and I put this note here, not trying to solicit you, but I think it's good to know. So our story was this. We used to lease. We actually leased from the Chamber of Commerce. They actually invited us. So the three of us that started the nonprofit, we all worked for the SBA and actually different offices. But we were in, I think it was Washington, D.C. for one of our conferences. And we were all from Texas, but we started talking and said, hey, if we took what we've learned at the SBA and took it into the private marketplace, we could help more people and benefit more ourselves. So we did that. So when we first started, one of the chambers of commerce that I had worked with through the SBA heard about us and they said, we want you to be based in our community. So they actually leased us a whole floor of their building. So that's where we got started, is in the chamber's office. But we quickly outgrew that. And of course, if you're like me, you don't want to keep paying someone else's mortgage. You'd rather own your own property. So we went to the chamber and offered to buy their building and then do them a lease back zero so they could stay in their space, but they didn't want to sell the building. So that's fine. So we found a different piece of property. The piece of property we primarily chose because it had a lot of space to build on, a lot of open land. And then also we had the option to buy some adjacent lots to expand. So we could almost grow this to be an entire city block, kind of an entrepreneurial village, if you will. Now we're not to that point yet. But what did we do? So we started with the Shelf Corp and turned around and took that brand new Shelf Corp and went and bought the real estate right away within 30 days. So that is certainly possible and doable. A lot of people have misinformation. They're saying, oh no, a new business can't go buy real estate, or a new business can't get real estate financing. That's not true at all. And we're living example. So there is a structure on the property, but it wasn't the end goal. And so we bought the property through the business, under the business's name and EIN. And then as we started looking at what are we going to do, we're going to buy or build, the same scenario we all have in business. We looked at other spots and decided, no, we're going to build on the property we have. So we're starting phase one literally today. Well, I guess it kind of already happened. So they've already been out. And so if you're going to build, do construction, it's more complicated than it is just to go buy a piece of real estate, right? So if you're just going to buy a piece of real estate, you need financing, of course, but it has to be appraised. It has to be inspected. We're doing a build. So it's a little bit more complicated, but that's okay. So what we've already done, so if you drove by, you'd see all the little flags out on the lot where they've marked all the utility lines, because they got to make sure that they don't cut a gas line or electric line or water line, sewer line. So we've done that. We've got the security fencing in. And then they're coming out today, not too long after today's Zoom, to actually start the groundbreaking. So it's going to be kind of a village concept, what I like to call an entrepreneurial village. So the first building will serve as our corporate offices. So our corporate staff, we're going to have a really nice training center there for any of you that want to come in. We're going to have a really nice commercial kitchen, whereby we can have our chef prepare you meals if you come in for the training. So this is starting right away. Then phase two, which after phase one gets completed, then we'll do phase two, and we're going to build a small tower, and that's going to accommodate more of our client needs. So this will be more about us. This is more about our clients. So not a real big deal. Doesn't matter probably to you much, but it is clarification that we could work together and do the same. If right now you're leasing office space or you don't have office space, we could, excuse me, use a shelf corp to either go buy a commercial building that you would own, and maybe that building would even have tenants that pay you, or we could build from the ground up. Building from the ground up is kind of cool because you get to go pick the color of the outside and the inside and the flooring. And when we were building out the commercial kitchen, we had to decide, do we want stainless steel appliances, or do we want Viking, or what's the other, I forget those high-end brands, Wolf. So a lot of choices. So it's kind of neat to build your own office complex, but it's a lot of work, and it frankly can distract you from what you need to do to make money. But if you're interested in buying or building an office, we can use a shelf corp to accomplish that together for you and or for your clients. So any questions anyone has on number one? I know that's probably not really of your concern. Number two and number three is, but any questions, comments, concerns? All right. Jake is asking the budget. Yeah, so we got approved for, well, no, I shouldn't say that. The total budget for both phases is 7.8 million. So that's the total amount. We're planning on putting about half of our cash into it, and we have financing secured for the other approximately 8 million. But I hate to even say that, because from your perspective, it's up to you. We don't have to go that large. It's up to you. We could do a small project together or a large project. There's financing available, so we don't have to worry about financing. Interest rates are making the financing more affordable than it had been, because interest rates have gone up, as you know. So if you're looking to really have more of a physical presence, either for your reseller business or for any other business, let us know. But let's go ahead and get into number two, which is what's in it for the clients. So not talking about us and our building. No one really cares. Not talking about you and benefits to you. We'll get to that. Talking about from a client's perspective. Well, my experience is there are a lot of clients that are out there that would like to either get into real estate or get more into real estate. Now, I'm not a real estate guru, not a real estate coach, but what are some of the main reasons that you would find that clients are interested in real estate financing? Well, certainly the fact that we have 100% financing is one reason that could draw people in. If you talk to your accountant or their accountant, I think that they would say that there's some great tax advantages of owning real estate. You can add cash flow where you can they could be the landlord and have tenants, and that kind of links to passive income because it's not like you have to go to work every day. Your real estate can make money for them. Can be an inflation hedge because well-planned real estate typically outperforms inflation. Obviously, great income potential. And again, I'm not trying to sell some sort of real estate package. I'm just trying to give you a quick reason. If you're not familiar, or reasons, if you're not familiar with why people invest in real estate, I think there's two types of people. There's those looking to pay their bills. And then once you get past that, then there's people that are looking to grow their wealth. Wealth building is irrelevant if you're just working paycheck to paycheck trying to pay your bills. What we can do is help those individuals build their wealth through real estate. And there's other items here. And so my goal isn't to persuade you to go find people that want real estate financing, but there's significant benefits. The process, though, is crazy simple. What we need to avoid is thinking that it's really complicated. So let's go ahead and outline what is the client process, which is going to tell you what you need to do, but we'll get to your benefits below. Client process. So first, client buys, if I could spell it, buys a shelf corp from you. Now, if they already have an entity and that entity is fundable, same thing we always talk about, we can use their entity. In most cases, it's easier, it's better, it's quicker, less volatile. I can't tell you how many times we've had clients that came in and said, oh, no, I already have a business. I don't want a shelf corp. I want to use they want to use their current business. We start digging in and there's almost always hair on it. There's almost always issues. And I don't know the statistic, but I'd say probably 8 out of 10 times that a client starts with wanting to use their own business, they end up switching over because there's something that needs to be cleaned up. So step one, they buy a shelf corp from you. So when a shelf corp is purchased from you, there's not like a shelf corp if you want real estate, or a different shelf corp if you want equipment, or a different shelf corp if you want working capital. The entity itself just needs to be a fundable business at its nucleus. So what some of you are getting confused are what we call uses of funds. So sure, in the end, it matters to get the client the right amount of money for the right purpose, and that'll affect where we get it from. But in the beginning, it always starts with this step in general. So that's where some of you say, oh, I don't have the real estate agreement, send it to me. No, it's the same agreement. They buy a shelf corp from you, and then we can massage that shelf corp for whatever capital raise that they want. So step one, they buy the shelf corp from you. All of you, if you are a reseller, you should have the reseller client agreement. If you don't have it, fill out the grant coordinator here, which is same as reseller on 509. We'll send it to you. It's a Word document. You remove our information, add yours, change pricing if you want, and get them under contract. So then we do first tranche financing. So this is to pay you for the shelf. And we talked about this some yesterday. Some clients get confused. Our goal initially is to get them enough money to pay you for the shelf corp, because they don't have to pay anything out of pocket, right? There's zero out of pocket. Doesn't mean it's free. It means we're going to get financing for them. So you get them under contract, then we'll get them financing to pay for the shelf corp to pay you. Then what happens? So you're noticing this isn't different, right? This is the same process we talk about every day. So then we'll transfer the shelf corp to them within 7 days. And we've been exceeding that in most cases, but nonetheless, in about a week, we can get everything over to them. And that includes the 100K of AR. And then at that point, now we can do the, what do we want to call? We can have the funding, consultation, and application. Because if they want to massage what the Shelf Corp does, how much money, the uses of funds, we'll take care of that. So it's crazy. Let me scroll down. It's crazy simple, right? So you sell the Shelf Corp. If you don't know how to do that, we need to resolve that on today's Zoom because that's painfully simple, right? We sent you the Shelf Corp reseller implementation. You take the Word document, you edit it, you take our information off, put yours on, change pricing the way you want, get it into Adobe DocuSign, however you want to do e-signatures. That's it, simple. Then you get that to us. We'll set up a portal. You'll upload the portal, but then we'll get them financing so they can pay you. Once they've paid you, then we can get the Shelf Corp to them in about a week. We can get the 100,000 to them normally in 24 hours. And then we can roll up our sleeves and make any adjustments needed to go to funding. Any questions on, on number two? Number two. Any questions? All right, so why would you, as a grant coordinator and or as a reseller, means the same, why would you be interested in helping people get financing of any type? Well, I guess the first benefit is if you want to help others, right? So if you're motivated to help people build financial literacy and get access to capital, then being a grant coordinator / reseller makes a lot of sense. Cost you nothing, no performance requirements, make money right away. I don't know how it gets better. But with that, I think it's important to understand the compensation. So the compensation is twofold. We'll do A and B. So A is upfront, how much you get right away. And so remember, you determine how much you want to sell the Shelf Corp for. The client pays nothing up front. We get them financing, and that financing is to pay you. Most of you are charging between 15 and 25,000 for the shelf. Anything above 10,000 is your profit. So most of you are making 5,000 to 10,000 up front, but it's up to you. I don't know what number to put there. Let's just be conservative and say that you're marking it up 5K. So the average reseller, this is a part-time gig. It's not what they're focused on. They have other lives and responsibilities, but the average reseller does a deal a day. So if you can start making 5,000 a day, not a bad side gig, but that's not really where the big money is. The big money is from delivering results to the client. So that's the performance fee. We charge the client 10% performance fee, and we pay 5% to you, and then 5% to your, we're going to call it upline. And I hate that term because we're not MLM, but you notice we pay out 100% of the performance fee. We're paid by the grant. We don't need to have any of this performance fee. If it weren't to motivate you all to go do what we need you to do, educate and enroll clients, we wouldn't even need a performance fee, but I know your time's valuable. So of course, the amount per deal will vary, but let's say that you brought us in. I know that's impossible, but if you look at our capital raise, if it's 8.7 million, if you would have brought us in, then you would have made your 5,000 up front. And then what is 5% of 8.7 million? I should be able to do that in my head. So that'd be around 40,000. Is that right? I should do it on my phone. My math skills aren't that good. If anyone can plug in the number before I can get it. So if you made 5% of 8.7 million. Oh shit, it's 435. I was a digit off. $435,000 back end. You know, so you're almost, I'm rounding up, almost $500,000 for having facilitated our deal if you were the one to do that. Now, of course, some people will want more or less. What questions do any of you have? It's kind of painfully simple. Anthony says he has a question. Go ahead and type it in. Any questions? Now, Prelo is a great point. Prelo is a licensed realtor. And we have a lot of realtors we work with because the average realtor is not making this much money on a deal. They usually have brokers and just the way the comp model works. Our comp model almost always will overpay or outpay what a realtor would make. So you're right, you could go out and attract realtors to be a reseller. We pay the override. So they would get their part, and then you would get a matching override, because you got to remember, this is paid out times 2. Let's put that on there. Times 2. It's paid to the reseller that brought the deal, and then the override to whoever brought that reseller. Again, we're not MLM or network marketing, but we pay an override. So it's almost like you're being the real estate broker. You could be the broker. All right, so let's start going through some of these questions, comments, concerns. Rod asked if this is spiritual. I don't know about that, Rod. Maybe. Let's see. Anthony says he has a question, but didn't give us the question. Prelo says, this is awesome. I'm a licensed realtor, and this is huge. Too easy. I think it's a great opportunity to help people. Raymond's asking about the time period. So what I mentioned here on number 3 is we normally need about 7 days to get the Shelf Corp over to them. And we're pretty good about that, pretty consistent. So that's once they paid. And then we need to sit down and say, okay, is the Shelf Corp ready to go the way it stands, or do we need to make changes? And so then it's more based upon the client. But normally we can get all this done in just a couple days after the Shelf Corp has been delivered. Thank you, Raymond, for that question. Yeah, Prelo says he's making 3% max as a licensed realtor. So the fact that he's getting 5% through this model is obviously almost twice what he would make otherwise. Thank you for that. All the recordings, Jeff's asking for the recordings. Yeah, so if you go to our YouTube channel, so under resources here, this is our phone number, and this is where to get quick cash, which is frankly 509 Pacific right here. Here's how to become a reseller grant coordinator right here. And then Jeff's asking about the YouTube channel. Anthony's asking what a Shelf Corp is. So a Shelf Corp is here, and it's primarily what we do as resellers. So if you're not familiar with that, you may want to go watch a video or two, Anthony, on Shelf Corps. But Shelf Corps are businesses that are already created. It's the buy or build scenario, right? If someone wants funding, you need a fundable business. So we can either go build a fundable business, or they can just buy one from you. And that typically is faster, easier, and more successful. And that's the process. So if that doesn't make sense to you, Mr. Walton, you can get caught up with some more trainings. All right, well, I've got to run. They're coming out to start breaking ground today, so I need to go tend to that. Thank you so much for your time. If you have any questions, give us a call. This is the same phone number that's on the 509 Pacific page, through 903-352-3390, and we'll talk to you soon. See you tomorrow morning. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.